The snake goddess stood before the god of the universe, her head bowed in fear and shame.
"Goddess,"
the god boomed.
"how dare you create gods in your own image?"
She trembled before him. The one rule he had for all deities was clear: never make a god in your own image. Yet, here she was, guilty of creating 15 new demigods and goddesses.
"Do you have an answer, goddess?"
His voice was stern, filled with a quiet rage that shook her to the core. I would like someone to represent me in this matter. Oh, wise and merciful God," she stammered, her voice trembling with fear. For a moment, the god of the universe was silent. His deep contemplation seemed to stretch on forever.
"Very well,"
he said at last, his voice booming.
"I will allow it. Who will represent you?"
"Morning Star," she whispered, barely audible. The god of the universe narrowed his eyes, a slight smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. What an interesting choice of counsel, he thought. This was going to be a fascinating trial indeed. To truly grasp the weight of this moment, we must go back to the very beginning. You are watching The Tales of the Savannah. Subscribe and be part of the tribe. Now let's get back to the story. The snake goddess sat in her room reading a book. She glanced at the cover. The Tales of the Savannah. The short stories made her chuckle. They reminded her of a book she had written herself, and she wondered what had become of it. It had been years since she went to Earth and sold the book to a trader. 20 cents, the trader had said, offering a paltry sum. She was shocked, insulted even. "Do you know the value of this book and who wrote it?" she shot back, trying to impress upon him the book's worth. "Lady, you're holding up the line. Are you selling or not?" the trader replied, impatient. "Fine," she snapped back, feeling frustrated and disrespected. How rude, she thought to herself. That was the end of that chapter. There was a second rule for the gods and goddesses. They must not directly influence humans' decisions and destinies. People were supposed to have freedom of worship and choice, but she hoped that by writing her book and putting it into the right hands, she could indirectly influence people to make their own decisions in her favor. In truth, that is what Morning Star had told her, and she hoped this plan would not backfire like the last one. Suddenly, as she sat, she felt a strong pull. A vortex appeared, swirling around her. Is this the end? She thought, bewildered. She was quickly drawn into the vortex and found herself breaking through to Earth, emerging in the midst of a group of fearful men and women. Who dares summon me? Her voice echoed through the forest, demanding answers. Then she noticed her book in the hands of one of the men and a goat lying lifeless in the distance. She understood. This was the moment she had been waiting for. "We seek your favor, great goddess," said their leader. "We are a family of traders beset by dangers. Grant us the serpent's gift, so we may protect our livelihood and gain the wisdom of the natural world." The goddess's eyes glowed, her gaze piercing through each of them. "You wish to bear the serpent's blood? Know that it comes with a price. Are you willing to pay it?" The traders agreed, desperate for the goddess's help. And now, here she was, kneeling before the god of the universe. This time she feared he would end her life. The next morning, Zoro visited his old friend Cabo, hoping their long friendship would grant them some extra time. "Cabo, Sia's grandmother has passed. Please allow us to mourn her before bringing the boy," Zoro pleaded. Cabo looked at Zoro, his gaze softening. "I am sorry for your loss," he said after a long pause. 7 days. As is our custom, Zoro. Bury your dead and make things right with the Brotherhood," Cabo replied, his voice firm but not unkind. Zoro nodded in gratitude and left. Later, Zoro, Sia and Tendai stood silently as grandmother's body was lowered into the ground. Each tried to hide their emotions, each wanting to appear strong for the others. Tendai wondered about his uncertain future. Why didn't he have a mother like other kids? And why was his mother a forbidden topic in their home? As Sia reflected, a familiar song suddenly reached his ears, accompanied by a strong, distinct scent. He looked around frantically and then saw her, Palesa, disappearing into the forest. "Go to her," Zoro whispered to Sia. When Sia caught up with her, Palesa turned to face him. "I heard your grandmother passed and wanted to pay my respects," she said softly. "Thank you," Sia whispered, trying to steady himself. Palesa looked as beautiful as he remembered. but being around Tendai had taught him to control his emotions around snake people. Still, he was troubled. "I also wanted to say goodbye," Palesa added, then revealed a small but unmistakable baby bump. Xia's heart sank. It felt like a betrayal, a stab in the back. While he was dealing with Tendai and the looming consequences, Palesa was out here carrying another child. "How could you, Palesa?" Xia exploded, his voice filled with hurt and anger. "How could I what?" Palesa shot back, her tone sharp, her eyes narrowing. "This," Xia pointed at her stomach, his hand trembling. "Our numbers have dwindled since the war. I'm sure you're doing the same on your side," Palesa said, her voice cracking as she burst into tears. "So, you're in love with him then?" Xia asked, his face twisted with disgust, his voice a harsh whisper, as if he could barely bring himself to say the words. "I have a duty to my people, Xia. Whether the circumstances are ideal or not, I must do what's necessary," Palesa shouted back. "Duty," Xia sneered. "Is that what you call this? Duty?" "Yes, duty," Palesa screamed. "You think I wanted this? You think I didn't agonize over this decision? But I had no choice, Xia. None of us do." Before Xia could respond, a twig snapped in the distance. In a flash, Palesa was gone, vanishing into the shadows of the forest. Xia turned sharply and saw Tendai standing there, his eyes wide with confusion. "Father, I was looking for you," Tendai said innocently. "I see you've inherited your father's tracking skills, but you walk like a duck," Xia joked, trying to mask his pain, illustrating with his hands. Tendai laughed. "No, you were shocked to see me," Tendai said, his sharp eyes noticing the tension in his father's posture. Xia chuckled. "Come on, I'll race you back home." From a distance, hidden among the trees, Palesa watched them, tears streaming down her face. "Farewell, my loves," she whispered softly, her heart breaking as she turned away, knowing that the path she had chosen would forever separate her from them. Jengo stood beside Nandi, waiting for his brother Kabo. Kabo, named after their legendary ancestor, was Jengo's twin brother. Most people couldn't tell them apart until they saw Kabo's scar, a mark from Black Rose that he wore with pride and often boasted about. "Baby brother," Kabo shouted as he arrived. "By less than 30 seconds, Jengo corrected with a grin. "A minute, a year. Who's counting?" Kabo replied, pulling his brother into a hug. Even as kids, they were always competing, Jengo famously coming out of the womb holding onto Kabo's leg, as if to say they both came out at the same time. Nandi, always beautiful and poised, drew Kabo's attention. "Why are you still with this guy? Run away with me into the sunset." "I'll consider it," Nandi joked, hugging Kabo. "And what about your infant bride? What would she say?" Jengo teased. "She's not that young," Kabo shot back. "Neither are you," Jengo laughed. Nandi shook her head, amused. Despite their playful banter, both men were powerful leaders in their own right. Kabo was a respected general in the human army. The hunters were calculated, infiltrating human organizations and gaining powerful positions to aid the organization in hiding in plain sight. With Kabo's arrival, the Council of Elders was finally complete. "What's the update, Kabo?" Jengo asked. "We've secured the tunnels and evacuated everyone within a 6-block radius," Kabo reported. "I know it's not perfect, but it's all we could get approval for. The death of Dr. Kofi has rattled the higher-ups, and they want this snake problem dealt with quickly and decisively." "Good," Jengo said, but then added, "There is a small hitch." "What's the hitch?" Jengo asked. "We can't use guns," Kabo said. "We can't afford any casualties. It would be a PR nightmare." Jengo's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Old school style, then. This is going to be an epic showdown, just like Snake Island." Kabo scoffed. "Do you call that a victory?" Jengo shot him a sharp look. Out there, Kabo was the general of the army, but in this room he was just a council member. He'd better remember his place. Meanwhile, Samuel sat among the elders, his mind elsewhere and nursing a broken heart. His phone pinged. The message he had been waiting for all day finally came through. "The venom is ready for pickup at 6 p.m., along with the coordinates to the pickup location." In the middle of the war room, An antenna was set up to boost the signal in the tunnels. Snake people rushed around, answering phones and preparing traps. The room was filled with chaos as calls went out. "Hello, you are being called to join the battle against the hunters by the daughter of Black Rose." "Hello, you owe a debt to Black Rose. Her daughter is ready to collect." Replies came quickly. "Very well, I will be there. Anything for Black Rose. She has my fangs." Asa smiled, knowing that Black Rose's name was more powerful than her own. Many had dismissed Asa's return as a hoax, and the prophecy had lost its impact over time. Here they were, pledging their fangs to Black Rose. "Thank you, Black Rose," she whispered softly. Suddenly, a group of mermen entered the room. Their leader stepped forward. "Queen Asa, I am Keta, the general for the Mer people. My king sent me to help you with planning the battle if you'll have us," he said, bowing. Asa's face brightened. "You are most welcome," she replied. The mermen gathered around the maps with Asa and her team, pointing out hidden routes that weren't on any maps. Even though the city's main entrances were blocked, these secret ways in and out could be crucial. Asa looked around, her confidence growing. The battle was coming, and they would be ready. This was the end of Day 6. And that, my dear tribe members, marks the end of yet another episode in our Snake People series. A huge thank you to these kind tribe members for sending super chats my way. I really, truly appreciate the love. May the God of wealth locate you and bless you with abundance. As we continue with the saga, my question to you is, who do you think will win the upcoming battle? Share your thoughts with me. I find them quite fascinating. And as always, thank you for watching our story, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching The Tales of the Savannah. We will see you next time in the Savannah.